if we're to break out of this low-growth, high-taxation, big-spending government, Treasury orthodoxy, if you like, which is what we've had for the last 12 years, and I find it quite amusing that one of them accused her of reversing 10 years' worth of conservatism. Well, 10 years' worth of conservatism desperately needs to be reversed because it hasn't worked. We've got a sclerotic economy, we haven't grown, wages have been subdued, and actually we've had, even before this spike in inflation, we've had, very significant inflation in asset prices. And anyway, in consumer prices were up about 25% over the 12-year period. So we've had real wage shrinkage, and something had to change. So I'm completely behind the Prime Minister in her dash for growth, if you like, cutting taxes, paring back regulations, and that second bit is equally important, as cutting taxes is. And sticking to her guns. She must stick to her guns as she goes through this.
But so ideologically, you understand where she's coming from. I suppose the point that appeared during Prime Minister's questions was she sort of boxed herself into a corner, hasn't she, in how she's going to pay for it. Because she stood at the dispatch box and she said, absolutely, there will be no cuts to public spending. Well, the IFS, very respected think tank, I have to say, says there's 60 billion that needs to be found. She can't do that through efficiencies and spending taxpayers' money better, can she?
But the principle underlying the notion that you have to fund tax cuts is one of robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's one where it's a notion that's underpinned by a redistribution of wealth. And the whole point about Liz Truss's new economic policy is that it's not about redistribution of a defined cake. It's about growing the size of the cake. And so you have to have unfunded tax cuts. If you want to grow the economy, you've got to have unfunded tax cuts. And it takes a bit of a leap of faith to do that, because you're working on the principle that if you cut taxes for companies, more companies will invest, more companies will come to the UK. And it's impossible for the IFS. And by the way, most economists don't do their forecasts based on growth assumptions. What they do is they take out what they know to be a cost, and then they make their forecast based on that known cost.